I wake up to the sound of nothing. That is the first thing I notice every morning now. Not the coffee maker beeping, not my husband snoring, not the television playing the local news too loud in the living room. Just nothing. The air conditioner kicks on and off, but that is just a machine breathing. I am 71 years old, and I have outlived almost everything that mattered. My name is Diane. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment off Highway 98 in Tallahassee. Before that, I lived in a 4-bedroom house with a screened-in porch and a garden where I grew tomatoes and basil and mint that took over everything. That house had a swing set in the backyard that my grandson used to scream on because he wanted to go higher, higher, higher. That house is gone now. My grandson is gone now. Most days I sit on my couch and watch the dust float in the sunlight, and I think about how fast a life can turn into a different life. The betrayal did not come like a storm. Storms have warnings. You see the sky turn green. You hear the sirens. You tape your windows and fill your bathtub with water. This came like a heart attack. 1 minute you are fine. The next minute you are on the floor, and your own body has become the enemy. Let me start at the beginning, because that is the only way to make sense of the end. I had 3 children, 2 daughters and 1 son. Karen was the oldest, then Michael, then Lisa, the baby. Their father was my husband of 42 years. His name was Bill.
Bill sold commercial insurance, and he was good at it. Not rich, but comfortable. We bought our house in 1998 for $160,000, a ranch style with oak trees in the front yard, the kind of house where every neighbor knew every neighbor. We raised those kids in that house. We painted their bedrooms colors they picked out themselves. Karen wanted lavender. Michael wanted navy blue with a border of race cars. Lisa wanted pink so bright it hurt your eyes. I told her she would hate it in a year. She hated it in 6 months. I repainted it a soft yellow, and she cried for 3 days. That was Lisa. She felt everything hard. Bill was a good father for the first 20 years. Steady, present. He coached Michael's little league team, even though Michael was terrible at baseball. He went to every dance recital for both girls, even though they were terrible at dance. He worked late sometimes, but he always came home. We had dinner together at 6:15 almost every night. Meatloaf, spaghetti, pot roast on Sundays. I was a homemaker until the youngest went to middle school. Then I worked part-time at a boutique downtown, selling women's clothes to other women my age. I liked it. I liked helping a woman find a dress that made her feel beautiful. I liked the quiet of the store in the afternoon when nobody came in and I could just fold sweaters and think. The trouble started after the kids grew up.
That is when you find out if your marriage was built on shared children or shared love. We found out it was built on shared children. Bill started going to the sports bar with his old high school friends. Then he started going to the casino boat that left from Port Richey. Then he started coming home at midnight smelling like whiskey and something else, something floral. I told myself it was the waitress brushing against him. I told myself it was nothing. I was good at telling myself things were nothing. He left me when I was 63, 3 weeks before Christmas. He sat me down in the kitchen, at the same table where we had eaten meatloaf for 40 years, and he said, "Diane, I don't love you anymore." Just like that. Not an argument, not a confession, just a statement of fact. I asked if there was someone else. He said yes. I asked who. He said her name was Crystal. Crystal, a woman young enough to be his daughter. I found out later she was 39 years old and worked as a blackjack dealer on the boat. I never met her face to face. I only saw her once from across a parking lot. She had long blonde hair and a tattoo of a spade on her wrist. That image lives in my head like a scar. The divorce took 14 months. Bill wanted the house. His lawyer argued that I had not contributed financially in a meaningful way because my part-time job was basically a hobby. That word, hobby. 42 years of raising 3 children, cooking every meal, cleaning every room,
nursing him through the flu and the back surgery and the time he broke his ankle falling off a ladder. All of that was a hobby. In the end, I got half of his retirement account and the right to stay in the house until I turned 65. Then I had to sell it and split the proceeds. That was the deal. I signed it because I was tired. I signed it because the lawyer cost $400 an hour and I was watching my savings disappear. I sold the house 2 years later. I got about $90,000 after all the fees and the split. $90,000 to start over at 65 years old. I found the apartment near the hospital, 500 square feet, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, a kitchen with a stove that had 3 working burners. I painted the living room a soft gray because I could not look at yellow anymore. Lisa helped me move. She was 38 then, married to a man named Todd who sold roofing supplies. They had 2 kids, a boy named Jacob and a girl named Emma. Jacob was 8 at the time. Emma was 5. They were the light in my life. I mean that without exaggeration. When everything else was taken from me, those 2 children were the reason I got out of bed in the morning. Lisa lived in Crawfordville, about 20 minutes south of Tallahassee. She was a dental hygienist. Todd worked long hours, so Lisa needed help with the kids after school. I became that help. Every day I drove to their house at 2:30 in the afternoon.
I picked Jacob up from school, then waited with Emma until the bus came. I gave them snacks, I helped with homework, I made dinner 3 nights a week. I stayed until 7 or 8, then drove home to my quiet apartment and went to bed. I did this for 4 years. 4 years of my life. I never asked for money. I never asked for anything. I told myself this was what mothers do. You give. You give until there is nothing left. Then you give more. Karen lived in Jacksonville with her second husband. She had 2 grown stepchildren who did not call her mom. She and I talked once a week on Sundays. Our conversations were pleasant but shallow. She never asked how I was really doing. She asked about the weather, about my blood pressure, about whether I had remembered to take my calcium. I loved her, but I did not feel close to her. She had a wall around her heart that I never learned how to climb. Michael was the wild card. He moved to Texas after college. He married a woman named Dominique, who I liked, but who did not like me back. I could feel it in the way she hugged me, arms straight, body back, like I was a stranger at a wedding. Michael called me on my birthday and on Mother's Day, sometimes on Christmas. That was it. I told myself he was busy. Men are like that. They pull away from their mothers because it is too painful to stay close. That is what I told myself. So Lisa was my person, my best friend, my confidant. I told her things I never told anyone, about Bill and Crystal. About the nights I sat in my car in the grocery store parking lot because I could not face coming home to an empty apartment. About the fear I had of running out of money before I ran out of life. She listened. She held my hand. She said things like, "You are the strongest woman I know, and I am so lucky to have you, and the kids love you more than anything." I believed her. That is the part that makes me want to scream when I think about it now. I believed her completely. The plan started to reveal itself slowly, like a stain spreading on a white tablecloth. At first, you think it is nothing, a shadow, a trick of the light. Then you look closer, and you realize the whole thing is ruined, and it has been ruined for a long time. It began with the Disney trip. That was the spark, the thing that lit the fire. Jacob was 10, Emma was 7. They had never been to Disney World. Lisa told me she wanted to take them for spring break. She said Todd had been working so much overtime that they could finally afford a long weekend, 4 days, 3 nights. She wanted to stay at one of the resort hotels so the kids could have the full experience. I was thrilled for them. I offered to pay for the hotel as a gift, my treat. I had saved some money from the house sale. Not much, but enough to do something special for my grandchildren. Lisa said no at first. She said, "Mom, you have done so much already." I insisted. I said, "Let me do this. Let me be a grandmother." She cried a little and hugged me and said, "Okay, you are too good to us." That should have been the end of it. A nice moment, a generous gift. But it was not the end. It was the beginning. I gave her my debit card, my main checking account debit card. I told her to charge the hotel room on it, $340 a night for 2 rooms, because Todd and Lisa wanted their own room and the kids would share the other room. I thought that was wasteful, but I did not say anything. It was her vacation, her family, her decision. She gave the card back to me the next day, or so I thought. What she actually did was take a picture of the front and back of the card with her phone. I did not know this at the time. I did not find out until later, much later. The trip happened. They went to Disney. The kids had a wonderful time. Lisa sent me photos every day. Jacob in front of the castle, Emma wearing mouse ears, Todd holding a turkey leg the size of his head. I looked at those photos and felt a warmth in my chest that I had not felt in years. This is what life is for, I thought. This is why you keep going. They came home on a Sunday night. I went over on Monday afternoon to hear all about it. Emma showed me her stuffed animal collection. Jacob showed me a light-up sword he got in the gift shop. Lisa poured me a glass of wine and told me sunny stories about the crowds and the long lines and the time Jacob almost threw up on the teacups ride. It was a perfect afternoon.
2 days later, I checked my bank account online. I did this every Wednesday, old habit from the divorce when I had to watch every penny. I logged in and looked at my balance, and my heart stopped. The number was wrong. It was too low, by almost $2,000. I scrolled through the transactions. Hotel charge, that was fine. Then another hotel charge, that was not fine. Then a restaurant charge, then a gift shop charge, then another restaurant, then a charge for theme park tickets, then a charge for something called Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, which I learned later was a place where they dress little girls up like princesses. Then more restaurant charges, then a charge for a fireworks dessert party, then more gift shop charges. The charges kept going, page after page. The card had been used everywhere. The hotel, the parks, the restaurants, the souvenir shops, everything. I called Lisa. She did not answer. I called again. No answer. I texted her and said, "Hey honey, I think my card might have been compromised. There are a lot of charges I don't recognize. Can you call me?" She called back an hour later. Her voice was weird, too high, too cheerful. "Oh, Mom, I am so sorry. I meant to tell you. The hotel system had a glitch and they accidentally charged my room to your card instead of mine. And then I used your card for a few things because I forgot my wallet in the room one day. It was just easier. I will pay you back, I promise." I asked her how much it was.
She said around $2,000. I asked her when she would pay me back. She said next month when Todd gets his bonus. I said, okay. I did not push. I did not want to be the kind of mother who made her daughter feel bad about a mistake. That was my mistake. That was the moment I should have pushed. The month passed. No money. I brought it up gently. Lisa said Todd's bonus was delayed. Another month. I brought it up again. She said money was tight because the air conditioner broke and cost $3,000 to replace. I believed her. Why would I not believe her? She was my daughter. The daughter who held my hand when I cried about Bill. The daughter who let me be part of her children's lives every single day. She was not a liar. She was not a thief. She was my Lisa. 6 months passed. The $2,000 became a subject we did not talk about. I let it go. I told myself it was a gift. A stupid, expensive gift, but a gift. I told myself I would rather have my daughter and my grandchildren than $2,000. I told myself that love was more important than money. I told myself a lot of things. Then the other card started getting used. I had a second debit card attached to a different account, a savings account I had opened years ago for emergencies. I kept that card in my nightstand drawer. I never used it. I had not used it in over a year. But one day I got a notification from the bank about a low balance alert. I logged in and saw that someone had withdrawn $800 from an ATM on the other side of Tallahassee, then another $400, then another $200. The withdrawals had been happening for 3 months. Small amounts that did not trigger any alarms. $200 here, $300 there. Always at ATMs in neighborhoods I had never been to. I called the bank. They said the card had been used with a PIN. They asked if anyone else knew my PIN. I said no. Then I remembered. Lisa had asked me for my PIN a year ago. She said she needed to transfer some money from my account to hers because she was at the grocery store and her card was not working. I gave it to her over the phone. I trusted her. She was my daughter. The bank put a hold on the card. They said they would investigate, but because the PIN was used, they might not be able to refund the money. I hung up the phone and sat in my gray living room and felt something crack inside me. Not break. Crack. Like ice on a pond when you step on it and you know you are about to fall through. I called Lisa. She did not answer. I left a message. I said, "The bank called about the savings account. Can you please call me back?" She called back 4 hours later. She was crying. "Mom, I can explain. It was for the kids. Jacob needed braces. The insurance did not cover all of it. I was going to tell you. I was going to pay you back. I just did not know how to ask." I said, "Lisa, you took money from my savings account without asking me. That is stealing.
That is not borrowing. That is stealing." She got defensive. She said, "I have done so much for you. I let you see the kids every day. I fed you dinner 3 nights a week. I listened to you complain about Dad for years. You owe me. You owe me for all of that." Those words hit me like a slap. You owe me. My daughter. The child I carried for 9 months. The child I woke up with at 2 in the morning and 3 in the morning and 4 in the morning. The child I stayed home with while my husband built his career. The child I drove to dance class and soccer practice and birthday parties and the emergency room when she fell off her bike and split her chin open. That child said I owed her. I did not say anything. I hung up the phone. I sat on my couch and stared at the wall and did not move for a long time. That night, I could not sleep. I got up at 2 in the morning and made a cup of tea and sat in the dark. I thought about all the times I had given Lisa money over the years. $1,000 for a new washing machine, $500 for a school field trip for Jacob, $300 for new tires for her car, $200 for a birthday present for Todd that she forgot to buy. It added up. It added up to a lot. I decided to look at my bank statements from the past 2 years. I printed them out at the library the next morning. I took them home and went through every single transaction with a yellow highlighter. Anything that looked wrong, anything that I did not recognize. It took me 4 hours. There were 57 transactions I did not recognize. 57. Some were small, $9 at a gas station, $12 at a fast food place. Some were bigger, $150 at Target, $200 at Walmart, $400 at a furniture store. The total came to almost $8,000. $8,000 over 2 years. And that was just the ones I could prove. There were probably more. Cash withdrawals, transfers, things I would never be able to trace. I sat at my kitchen table with those papers spread out in front of me, and I realized something that made me sick. Lisa had been stealing from me for years. The Disney trip was not a mistake. It was not a glitch. It was the time she got caught. But she had been doing this for a long time. Small amounts, tiny amounts, the kind of amounts a grandmother would not notice. A grandmother who trusted her daughter. A grandmother who was too old and too tired and too lonely to check her bank statements every week. I called Karen. I needed to tell someone. I needed to hear another voice. Karen listened without interrupting. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "I am not surprised." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Lisa has always been like that. Remember when she was 16 and she took your credit card to the mall? Remember when she stole money from my purse at Thanksgiving? Mom, you have blinders on when it comes to her. You always have. I remembered those things. I had forgotten them or explained them away. She was just a kid. She made mistakes. She learned her lesson. But she did not learn her lesson. She just got better at hiding it." Karen said, "You need to confront her. You need to tell her this has to stop. And you need to change your bank accounts. Get new cards, new PINs. Do not let her near your money again." I said, "I do not want to lose her. I do not want to lose the kids." Karen said, "Mom, she is the one who is going to lose you, not the other way around." That conversation happened on a Friday. On Saturday, I drove to the bank and closed both checking accounts. I opened new ones with new numbers and new cards and a new PIN that I wrote on a piece of paper and put in a lockbox. I told the bank to put an alert on my account for any transaction over $100. I felt like a prisoner changing the locks after being robbed, but I did it. I did it because I had to. On Sunday, I went to Lisa's house. I did not call first. I just showed up. Todd was in the driveway washing his truck. He waved at me. I did not wave back. I walked inside and found Lisa in the kitchen folding laundry. Emma was watching cartoons in the living room. Jacob was in his room playing video games. I could hear the gunfire sounds through the wall. Lisa looked up at me and smiled. That smile. It was the same smile she had given me her whole life. The smile that had always made me feel like everything was okay. But it was not okay. Nothing was okay. I sat down at her kitchen table, the same table where I had eaten hundreds of dinners, the same table where I had helped Emma with her spelling words, the same table where I had told Lisa that I loved her 1,000 times. I put my hands flat on the table and I looked at my daughter, and I said, "I know everything." She stopped folding the towel in her hands. She said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "The Disney charges, the savings account withdrawals,
The Target runs, the gas stations, the Walmart trips, all of it. I know you have been stealing from me for 2 years, maybe longer. I want you to tell me why." She put the towel down. She sat across from me. She did not cry. She did not look guilty. She looked tired. That was worse. That was so much worse. Because a guilty person feels something. A tired person just wants the conversation to be over. She said, "Mom, you have no idea what it is like to raise 2 kids on Todd's salary. You have no idea how expensive everything is. Groceries, clothes, school supplies. We are drowning. We have been drowning for years. And you just sit in your apartment with your savings account and your paid-off car and your Social Security check, and you have no idea." I said, "So you stole from me?"
She said, "I borrowed from you." I said, "You did not ask." She said, "Because you would have said no." I said, "You are right. I would have said no, because I do not have that much money. I have $90,000 to last me the rest of my life. Do you understand that? The rest of my life. I am 71 years old. I am not going back to work. I am not getting a promotion. This is it. This is all I have. And you have been taking it like it was yours." She stood up. She walked to the sink and turned on the water and stared out the window. Her back was to me. She said, "I am not going to apologize for trying to keep my family afloat." I said, "I am your family." She turned around. Her face was hard. She said, "You are my mother. That is different. You are supposed to help me. That is what mothers do. They help. They do not sit in judgment. They do not keep score." I stood up. I could feel something building in my chest, something hot and sharp. I said, "I have helped you. I have helped you every single day for 4 years. I have driven down here in the rain and the heat and the cold. I have fed your children. I have cleaned your kitchen. I have bought groceries out of my own pocket. I have done everything a mother can do and more. And you stole from me. You stole from the woman who changed your diapers and stayed up with you when you had fevers and cried at your wedding because she was so proud of you. You stole from her." Lisa did not say anything. She just stood there by the sink with her arms crossed. Her face was a wall. I had raised that face. I had kissed that face. And now that face looked at me like I was a stranger. I said, "I want my money back. All of it. $8,000. I want it back by the end of the month." She laughed. She actually laughed. She said, "Mom, we do not have $8,000. Todd's business is barely hanging on. We are behind on the mortgage. We are behind on the car payment. We are behind on everything. You are going to have to wait." I said, "I have been waiting. I have been waiting my whole life for people to do the right thing. Bill did not do the right thing. Michael does not call. Karen lives 3 hours away. And you steal from me. I am done waiting." I walked out of the kitchen. I walked past Emma, who was still watching cartoons. She looked up at me and said, "Grandma, are you okay?" I said, "Yes, baby. Grandma is fine." But I was not fine. I was not even close to fine. I got in my car and I drove to the nearest grocery store parking lot, and I sat there and I cried. I cried the way you cry when someone dies, the deep, ugly crying that comes from your stomach and makes your whole body shake. I cried because my daughter was gone, not dead, worse than dead. She was alive and she had chosen to hurt me. She had chosen money over me. She had chosen her comfort over my survival. I drove home. I went inside my gray apartment. I sat on my couch. I did not turn on the television.
I did not make tea. I just sat there in the silence and let the silence fill me up. The next day, I got a text from Lisa. It said, "I think it is best if you do not come over for a while. The kids need stability right now, and this situation is confusing for them. I will let you know when you can see them again." I read that text 17 times. I read it until the words lost their meaning. Do not come over. The kids need stability. Confusing for them. She was keeping me from my grandchildren because I asked for my money back. She was punishing me for catching her. She was turning me into the bad guy. I did not respond. I did not know what to say. What do you say to someone who has taken everything from you and is now taking the only thing you have left? 2 weeks passed. No call, no text, no visit. I drove past their house once, just to see. The lights were on. I could see Emma's silhouette in the window. She was jumping on the couch. That was not allowed. Jumping on the couch was against the rules. But Lisa was not enforcing rules anymore, apparently. Or maybe the rules had changed. Maybe everything had changed. I called Karen. I told her what happened. She said, "Mom, you need a lawyer." I said, "A lawyer for what?" She said, "For the money, for the grandchildren, for visitation rights. Some states have grandparent visitation laws. You need to find out if Florida has them." I did not want a lawyer. Lawyers cost money. Lawyers meant conflict.
Lawyers meant making everything official and ugly and permanent. But Karen was right. I could not just sit in my apartment and wait for Lisa to decide when I could see my grandchildren again. I had rights. I had to believe I had rights. I found a lawyer named Mrs. Alvarez. She was young, maybe 40. She had an office near the courthouse with a view of a parking garage. She listened to my story without interrupting. When she finished, she took off her glasses and rubbed her eyes and said, "Mrs. Henley, this is going to be difficult." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because Florida grandparent visitation laws are very limited. You can only get visitation if the child's parent is deceased, or if the child has been living with you and you have been the primary caregiver. Neither of those things applies here. You are a regular caregiver, but not the primary one. The court is not going to order Lisa to let you see the kids if she does not want to." I said, "So she can just take them away from me, just like that?" Mrs. Alvarez said, "Yes, she can. I am sorry." I sat in that chair and looked out the window at the parking garage, and I felt something leave my body. Hope, maybe, or the last bit of fight I had left. It just floated out of me like a balloon. I asked about the money. She said that was different. I could sue Lisa for the stolen funds, but suing your own daughter meant a public record. It meant court dates. It meant both of us hiring lawyers and spending money we did not have.
It meant turning a family problem into a legal problem. And even if I won, there was no guarantee Lisa would pay. You cannot get blood from a stone. I left her office and walked to my car and sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes. I thought about my mother. She died when I was 52. Ovarian cancer. 6 months from diagnosis to the end. In her final weeks, I sat by her hospital bed and held her hand and promised her I would take care of the family. I would keep everyone together. I would be the matriarch. I would be the glue. I broke that promise. I did not break it on purpose, but I broke it just the same. The next 6 months were the darkest of my life. I do not say that lightly. I have been through divorce. I have been through loneliness. I have been through the death of my parents and the slow fading of friends who moved away or got sick or just disappeared into their own lives. But nothing prepared me for the silence of my own child. Lisa did not call. She did not text. She did not respond to my messages. I sent her a letter, a real letter, on paper. I told her I loved her. I told her I forgave her. I told her I did not care about the money anymore. I just wanted to see the kids. She did not write back. I sent the kids birthday cards with checks inside. The checks were never cashed. I sent Christmas presents. They came back, returned to sender. Lisa had blocked me, not just on her phone, on her whole life. Todd called me once. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I saw his name on my phone and my heart jumped. I answered. He said, "Diane, this is Todd. I need you to stop contacting us. Lisa is going through a hard time and your messages are making it worse. We need space. Please respect that." I said, "Todd, those are my grandchildren." He said, "They are our children, not yours, ours." Those words, our children, not yours, ours. As if I had not changed their diapers, as if I had not taught Jacob how to tie his shoes, as if I had not sat with Emma for an hour while she cried about a mean girl at school, as if I was nobody, a stranger, an inconvenience. I said, "Okay." I said okay because I did not have any other words. I hung up the phone and I put my face in my hands, and I did not cry. I could not cry anymore. The tears were gone.
There was just a dry, empty, hollow space where my heart used to be. I stopped driving past their house. I stopped checking my phone every 5 minutes. I stopped hoping. That was the worst part, the stopping of hope. Hope had been my companion for 71 years. Hope that Bill would come back. Hope that Michael would call. Hope that Lisa would change. Hope that the kids would remember me. But hope is just another word for waiting. And I was done waiting. Karen came to visit for a weekend. She brought her husband, Greg. They took me out to dinner at a Cracker Barrel. We sat in a booth and ate chicken and dumplings and talked about nothing. Karen did not mention Lisa. Greg did not mention Lisa.
They acted like everything was normal. I appreciated that. I also hated it, but I appreciated it. On Sunday, before they left, Karen gave me an envelope. She said, "This is for me and Greg. Do not say no." I opened it. There was $1,000 in cash. Karen said, "We want you to take a trip. Go somewhere. Do something. Get out of that apartment for a few days." I said, "I cannot accept this." She said, "Yes, you can. You have given your whole life to everyone else. Now take something for yourself." I put the envelope in my purse. I hugged her. I held on longer than I meant to. She did not pull away. She just let me hold on. I did not take a trip. I put the money in my savings account, the new savings account, with the new number and the new PIN that nobody knew. I told myself I would use it for something important, a new roof on the apartment if I needed it, a medical bill, an emergency. But the truth was, I was afraid to spend it. I was afraid of being broke. I was afraid of being old and broke and alone. So I kept the money in the bank, and I stayed in my apartment, and I watched the dust float in the sunlight. My 72nd birthday came. Nobody called. Karen sent a card. It arrived 2 days late. She wrote, "Sorry, Mom, I am terrible with dates. I love you." I taped the card to my refrigerator. It is still there. Michael sent a text. "Happy birthday, Mom. Hope you are doing well." That was it. 14 words. I wrote back, "Thank you, Michael. Love you." He did not respond.
Lisa sent nothing. No card, no text, no call, nothing. I told myself she forgot, but she did not forget. She did not forget my birthday any more than she forgot she stole from me. She just chose silence. Silence was her gift to me. I started going to church, not because I believed in God. I lost my faith somewhere between the divorce and the stolen money. I went because the church was warm, and there were other old people there, and for 1 hour on Sunday morning, I did not have to be alone. I sat in the back row. I sang the hymns, even though I did not believe the words. I put $1 in the collection plate, even though I was not sure I could afford it. The pastor was a young man with a kind face. He talked about forgiveness. I tried to listen. I tried to feel something. But forgiveness requires a request, and Lisa had never asked. One afternoon, my phone rang, a number I did not recognize. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. It was Emma. She was 11 now. She had her own phone, a cheap one her parents gave her for emergencies. She said, "Grandma?" My heart stopped. I said, "Emma, baby, is that you?" She said, "Yeah, I am at Jacob's baseball practice. Mom is in the bathroom. I wanted to call you because I miss you." I closed my eyes. I pressed the phone against my ear like I could press her voice into my skin. I said, "I miss you too, baby. I miss you so much." She said, "Why haven't you come over? Mom said you were busy, but you're old, so you should not be that busy."
I almost laughed. I almost cried. I said, "Your mom and I had a disagreement, but I love you. I love you and Jacob more than anything in the whole world. Do you understand that?" She said, "Yeah. I love you too, Grandma." I heard a voice in the background, Lisa's voice. "Emma, who are you talking to?" Emma said, "Nobody." I heard the click of the call ending. Just like that. She was gone. I sat there holding my phone. The screen said, "Call ended." I stared at it for a long time. I thought about calling back. I thought about driving to the baseball field. I thought about screaming Lisa's name across the grass until the whole world turned to look at us. But I did not do any of those things. I put my phone down. I walked to the kitchen. I made a cup of tea. I sat in my chair. I watched the dust. That was 3 months ago. I am telling you this story now because I need someone to know. I need someone to know what it feels like to be erased by the people you love most. I need someone to know that betrayal does not always come with a loud crash. Sometimes it comes with a locked door. Sometimes it comes with a returned Christmas present. Sometimes it comes with a child whispering nobody into a phone. I still live in the gray apartment. I still drive the same car. I still go to church on Sundays. I still check my bank account every Wednesday. The money is still there. The money is safe. But the money is not what I wanted. I never wanted the money.
I wanted my daughter to look at me and see a mother, not a bank account, not a babysitter, not a problem to be managed. A mother. Bill died last year. Crystal called me. Can you believe that? She called me to tell me he had a heart attack in the garage. She said he never stopped loving me. She said he talked about me all the time at the end. I told her I did not care. That was a lie. I cared. I cared that he was gone. I cared that I would never get to yell at him for what he did to me. I cared that the father of my children was dead, and my children did not care enough to tell me themselves. Karen calls every Sunday now. She is trying. I appreciate that. She sends me funny videos of her dog. She asks about my blood pressure. She tells me to eat more vegetables. She is a good daughter. She was always a good daughter. I just did not see it because I was too busy pouring everything into Lisa. Michael sends a text once a month. I respond. That is our relationship now. A monthly text, like a subscription I cannot cancel. Lisa, my Lisa. I do not know where she is anymore. Not physically. I know where she lives, but I do not know who she is. I do not recognize the woman who looked at me across that kitchen table and said, "You owe me." That woman is a stranger. And the worst part is that I still love her. I love her like I loved her when she was 3 years old, and she used to crawl into my bed after a nightmare. I love her like I loved her when she graduated high school, and I cried so hard I could not see the stage. I love her like I loved her when she handed me Jacob for the first time and said, "You are a grandma now." That love is still there. It is a stupid love, a useless love, a love that hurts more than any hate ever could. But it is there, and it will be there until I die. I have thought about writing her one more letter. Not a begging letter, not a forgiving letter. Just a letter that says, "I am here. I am your mother. I will always be your mother. My door is open. My phone is on. I am not going anywhere." But I do not write it, because I have written that letter 100 times in my head, and every time I get to the end, I realize she does not want it. She does not want me. She wanted my money and my time and my free babysitting, and when I've stopped giving those things, she stopped wanting me. That is the truth I have to live with. That is the truth I will carry to my grave. Tonight, I will make myself a small dinner. A salad, maybe. Some chicken if I feel like it. I will eat